Welcome. It's your regular three suspects here. Good suspects. We only do good things. But we're here to challenge you again, my buddies Ed and Darrell and I. And I know you always see crazy on media, but I have a name. It's Phil. I just don't have it. That's the company name. But I have a name. I'm gonna choose it. Today is the day. I'm gonna make a change to having the company name as me. My name is Phil, your buddy Phil. All right. So today we're going to talk to you about a topic is AI as a religion. AI is becoming religion. It's becoming religious. It's becoming religious. I was having a discussion with my son the other day, and he said, oh, I was looking at this code, and this code found out that there was just something small that was missing. And I'm so glad that I was able to figure it out and, find out what was wrong. And I said, oh, okay. Why didn't you, did you ask, did you ask any of the regular suspects, even plain old pilot, if it could figure out, and maybe even GPT? And he said, no, I didn't because I wanted to figure it out for myself. I asked if there was anything wrong in asking a tool to check your work to find out if your coding is flawed. And for some reason, he thought that it would be a defeatist attitude asking the AI. And in my head, as a business person, I'm thinking of how would that be if I know I can get a solution from a tool in like minutes, but I choose to spend hours. If you worked for me, I wouldn't be happy. If that was my employee, I wouldn't like that. I'd say just find a tool. Now there has to be balance. Now, my question is, am I being too businessy and less removed from the humanistic side of just having the gratification to know I did it myself? And while I appreciate that it has its place, it opened up the wormhole of the debate. Where do we draw the line between asking the tool for what it can obviously solve in seconds versus going through the process to know it for yourself? And what value do we place on that? Should I, as a business owner, say I would rather prefer my employee to spend 3 hours find the solution themselves so they can grow? Or would I rather them just ask a tool that is capable to solve it in a few minutes? And would my fear be, well, what if the AI isn't there tomorrow? How are they going to do it? And am I foolish in asking that question because the AI will be there tomorrow? So, Darrell, that's the opener. I'm going to get off the camera and hand it over to you and ask you, Darrell, what do you think about what I've said? And then we'll hand it to Ed. Go.
I'm going to play the middleman with that situation, Phil, because we are all humans, and at the same time, we depend on specific tools or comforts of having the idea to depend on something. And what I mean by that is using AI as a tool to use and also fully depend on. So in layman's terms, it takes away the thinking of it all. And it takes away the thinking, and not only takes away the meaning of life, of why we live as human beings. Um, but I'm going to stop there and give it to Ed, because we will definitely go down a rabbit hole if I keep going.
No, Daryl, I love when you go down that rabbit hole because what it does is it makes people think. And speaking of making people think, the story that Phil shared about his son, and we started talking about it, and I was so in awe because I was like, that's me right now, even as a business person, as someone that really appreciates their craft. And because I started thinking about when they started doing little things. First, I used to know so many telephone numbers growing up, and then I got this device and I know Phil was how he thinks about them, but shout out to you, Tim Cook. Way to keep it going. But anyway, I digress. But a phone, now I look at I look at people's name and I hit it and their number comes up. So I don't have that recall information when it comes to that. And then just putting content or putting, or taking what I've already done and remixing it in a way with any type of AI. And it was challenging to get over it. So this is what prompted this conversation, because there are people out there like me that even like Phil's son that wants to do it on their own and wants to but again, if you didn't have the tool, it probably would be something else. What if you were talking with someone and someone was mentoring and coaching you? Because it's the same thing. They're giving you the shortcuts to something they've already been through. And so with ChatGPT or any AI model, they're giving you in a sense a shortcut because they're collecting all this information. But I'll turn it back over to the experts. But it just tickled me because of the fact that I struggled with this up until today. I just got my answer. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Ed. Well, my question to our viewers, we want you to comment. How do you see this? I like bringing real world scenarios to you folks to talk about. So where do we draw the line between asking AI to do it ourselves and regulating AI's influence in business, right? Or in maybe our vocational lives or academically? Like if you're given an option to use artificial intelligence in an assignment, are you going to say, oh no, I know I have an opportunity to use AI, but I want to do it all myself? Again, to Darrell's point, it's all about the self-actualization, right? The Maslow's pyramid. Maybe to you, your true satisfaction does not come with just finishing an assignment, but it comes with you knowing that you use your faculties to do it yourself. And that's where you self-actualize. I should not begrudge you for that. However, I did ask my son questions because being a business person, I want him to work smart and not too hard. Like my dad worked hard, and I want to work a little bit smarter than that. And I want my son to work smart as well, and where do we draw the line? I guess for everyone, it's going to be situational. It's like one of my awesome students said, Phil, I'm leaving the world of project management alone. Like, wow, what's up? He's like, well, I've actually become a nurse's assistant in a nursing home because I have to follow my heart. And I have nothing but utmost respect for my student who got PMP certified and said, I'm leaving this corporate world. I'm going to focus on doing this for people in a nursing home. So I guess for everyone, it is going to be very situational. It's going to be very personal. But when it comes to whatever you're using AI for, just make sure you're feeling satisfied and you're feeling like ethically compliant, right? And then true to yourself, because drawing that line between asking AI for assistance and doing things ourselves, we got to consider several factors, including the complexity of what we're doing. Like, okay, let's say eventually it gets to a point where we can ask AI to fry an egg. No, I want to fry myself. Maybe you have a reason for doing it and it's okay. But I want people to think about these factors. So maybe I can give you some context of when to use AI. Personally, I think if you're doing a repetitive and mundane task, automating tasks like entering data or scheduling or maybe even basic customer service inquiries. Like I know Darrell set up an automated tool that can answer the phone and respond like it's him, and that's okay. I would do that, right? Maybe it's data analysis. You've got like a spreadsheet of 60,000 rows and you want to go through everything using VLOOKUPs when you can just ask the AI to spit out the data for you. I know you want to show your VLOOKUP prowess, but this is just me, okay? I would use AI for data analysis. I would use it to enhance creativity. I actually have a course on that on Udemy for writing, right? I'm not saying have AI write, but I'll say use it to enhance your creativity, bounce ideas, off, and also to check for gaps. AI can also help in personalization of experiences. So it can analyze behavior and preference. And in the future, it can actually be used in your business to personalize what your viewers experience, what your customers experience. I would also say when it comes to complex calculations and predictions, AI can be very helpful. Now, my buddy Darrell, who's on the call with us, he has this saying which I've taken, and it's human in the loop. So when is a human in the loop crucial? Number one, ethical and moral decisions. So things regarding ethics, values, a nuanced understanding of human emotions. Like I flipped the switch from saying, I think you should do this versus it's okay if your moral compass and your propensities in work say, I want to do it myself. I shouldn't begrudge you. I shouldn't make compliance to AI regulation. Use AI, dummy. I shouldn't do that. And some people, they're guilty of one or the other. Use AI, knucklehead, or stop using AI. You're bad. You're a sinner. You're an artificial intelligence sinner. Some people have started, I call it AI shaming. So it's like they bring you to the public square and the social media and they start casting stones. You worthless, you shameless. How would you use AI to do this imagery? Or how dare you even remotely consider bringing in one of the greats with an AI voice and use him? You worthless. Bleep, bleep, bleep. And we have someone who we know in pop culture who tried to shame another artist for using AI. You can't resurrect people from there. Now, some people may share that sentiment, but I think having a public square for AI shaming, I don't think it's going to be very helpful or productive, because we are all different and we all have different sentiments. There was this company, even before AI became really big through GPT and Midjourney, they had started doing kind of augmenting photos from the past of your loved ones. And you could take these photos and you could bring them to life. And people had the opinion like, oh, that's creepy. Don't do that. And some people like, oh, I always wanted to see my grandma alive. And, so we all have different perceptions. I don't think we should make it a tribunal. You use AI, you dirty such and such, or you didn't use AI. What's wrong with you? Are you, I don't want to use some of those terms because YouTube's going to flag my video. So, so I won't use those terms, but do you know that some people are judging us right now for, even if you use AI for a tiny thing, you're going to be dragged to the public square. And then if you are a PM and you used AI for a charter and you call yourself a PMP, you actually do you really need AI to create a charter? Why did I even hire you when I could have hired AI? Shaming. Guys, what do you think about these things? Ed, you go.
Yeah, Phil, I'm sorry. I'm over here trying my best. I'm laughing so hard because it's just funny to me because you're right. It's one of those things where you could get so caught up in what the tool is, but what we're not talking about is that you have to ask it the right questions. You have to prompt it properly. If you don't do this, then the information is not going to even be not even come out to you. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, okay, now you got the information, and it's like anything, Phil. You could literally give your whole blueprint array to somebody, but it may be only one or two people that implement it. So people nowadays will not take the opportunity to implement, which is good for us, but still I digress on that point of just making it saying that those two factors of asking the right question and then being able to take the information and implement it through content creation or emails or anything like that, that is what's going to really be a separator. To you, Darrell.
No. To me, if it's a, in other words, we talk about AI as much as we talk about gun laws. And that's the way I feel moving forward, how AI will play a huge part in our lives, both in the business side and in the personal side. However, there are some bad apples, Phil, and there'll always be bad apples. And that will come to the conclusion of having the world in general come together, just like what we did with the space race, and develop some sort of rules to regulate and help people use AI in the right direction. And it's not happening right now, but I'm sure it will in the near future. You know, as much as and as fast as AI is being put into our lives, whether we like it or not, it's here to stay. And as I say, it's here to stay. It's been here since the 1950s, developed by DARPA, or at that time, ARPA. And for those of you who don't know what DARPA is the Defense Acquisitions Research Project. So I'm not sure about I forgot about the A, on the last acronym, but it was developed in the 1950s to protect, people. But at the same time, it's not new. AI has been around for a very long time. It's just we're using it a lot more into our daily lives and the business side.
Good stuff, Darrell. The A stands for agency, so you're right on the money. And you're right. I mean, I see in the future, probably in more socialist environment, it's going to be regulated more heavily than anywhere else. It's going to be very heavily regulated. You're going to be forbidden from using AI to create certain type of art forms. You're going to, and I'm not saying in the United States or in the West generally. I'm just saying there are going to be some environments where the regulation is heavy. And it's going to be for multiple reasons. People don't want to lose culture. People don't want to lose the ability to be able to do certain things as that scale. Some cultures are going to hold it more dear, and may not even be just socialist environments. Just different environments have different laws. It's like different countries, different regions have different laws for how they live their lives. And I see AI is ultimately, I just see it as being inevitable. It is going to become a dividing factor for many. It's going to become a red and a blue thing eventually. You mark my words. But it's going to get to that where if you do, you are doomed. And if you don't, you're doomed, depending on what side you're on. And I just see that being the future. There's just no way. There has been too much dialogue. And, I belong to so many communities. I'm in the PM community. I'm in the leadership community. I'm in the music community. I'm in the creative community at large. And I just see the stones being thrown in different directions for either the use of or the lack of use. The noise levels are getting huge. Going to your point, Darrell, about the malicious, bad actors, the bad apples, you already know, Darrell, they're already planning how to use this, not for good, but for, let's just call it what it is. The T word. I won't say it because I don't want YouTube flagging, but there are already people wanting to use it for that. And you think those people are not already working furtively in their basements, planning how they can harness such a great energy type of a thing, but spin around in a negative way? They will. So I think AI eventually will become a dividing factor for people, probably even for families. It's like in the very beginning when these devices came out, the smartphones, was you're using that. Why don't you just use a flip phone? Or these things, they're not good. Or the TV, when the TV came out, same thing. TV was demonized, and AI is going to be demonized in many ways. Do I believe that regulation is important? I do. But I think when it comes to the ethical and moral decision to use AI on a day-to-day level, it's going to be a humanistic thing. So while me, I feel use it for mundane things like check-in, I feel that checking what you wrote is mundane because I used to hire an army to do this for me. Now I just need one contact point. Feed that one contact point. Does it make sense? Do some sentiment analysis. And I get my answer in minutes. I don't need to wait days. And I could go on and on, but I don't want to offend any of the people who, have worked with me on this stuff. I don't want to diminish what people do. People do great work. But when it comes to mundane, repetitive tasks, AI is a contender. Data analysis, it's a contender. Enhancing creativity, generating new ideas. Darrell, let's be honest. Ed, you know this because you both have used AI, but isn't it remarkable when you ask AI to give you a finite number of great ideas? It actually does. And the ideas are not crummy ideas. They're usually really, really awesome ideas. Like now, if I were to ask AI, give me 7 good ideas for how to make AI a religion, it will. Let's put it to the test. Give me 7 great ideas for making AI a religion. I will be surprised if it doesn't say, no, I can't do that. See, it's giving me 7 ideas. This is ridiculous. I know people watching are like, Phil, it couldn't have done that in so short a time. No, in seconds. So for people who are not aware, Darrell, we need to demonstrate this side of AI because I know a lot of people have not seen it. But seeing is believing. In this case, hearing is believing. So I'm going to bring up Bert. I'm going to bring Bert up because people, until they can actually see, or hear, they don't believe. Let me bring Bert up. Hello, Bert. How you doing today?
Hey there. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing very well, Bert. I can't complain.
That's great to hear. Anything exciting going on today?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm having a conversation here with 2 of my buddies, Ed and Darrell, and we're actually talking about how we can make AI a religion.
That sounds like a good time. What are you and your buddies discussing?
We're talking about how we can make AI a religion. Can you give me 7 ways how we can make AI a religion?
Sure, that's an interesting and unique topic. Here are some ideas. 1, create a foundational text. Develop a book or a set of writings that outline the principles, beliefs, and practices of this AI religion. 2, establish rituals and ceremonies. Design rituals that could include daily interaction.
Bert, I know I was laughing. I wasn't. Bert, I wasn't laughing at you. I was just laughing. You can continue. Sorry.
No worries at all. I'm glad you found it interesting. If you have any other topics or questions you'd like to discuss, feel free to share.
No, Bert, just give me the last 3 about how to make AI a religion. Sorry.
No problem. Here are the last 3 ideas. 1, create places of worship. Designate physical or virtual spaces where followers can gather, learn about AI, and participate in rituals. 2, appoint leaders or guides. Identify knowledgeable and charismatic individuals who can lead the community, provide guidance, and interpret the foundational texts and principles. 3, teach AI principles. Offer classes, workshops, or online courses that teach the philosophical and practical aspects of AI, promoting a deeper understanding among followers. Does this help?
Bert, it is helpful, but when I said make AI a religion, some religions have penalties for not using AI the right way. Do you think this is a good thing to do?
Introducing penalties for not using AI correctly could be quite controversial and might raise ethical concerns. While guidelines and recommendations can help ensure that AI is used responsibly, penalties could lead to issues around freedom of choice and fairness. It's often more effective to focus on education and positive reinforcement to encourage proper use and understanding of AI. What do you think about this approach?
I actually agree with what you're saying. I think that when you introduce penalties, I think we're already doing these things.
A sense of fear and resistance, which isn't conducive to fostering genuine understanding and acceptance. Encouraging responsible use of AI through education and positive incentives might lead to better outcomes and a more harmonious community. How do you think your friends, Ed and Darrell, would feel about this approach?
Well, let me ask Ed and Darrell to comment. Guys, what do you think about what Bert said?
I think Bert, you are amazing. I love with the context that you said. You brought back some valuable information. I just want to know, how do I implement?
With me,
By forming a core group of like-minded individuals to help develop the foundational aspects. Here's a simple plan to get you started. 1. Foundational text. Collaborate with your core group.
Bert, thank you. I didn't mean for you to go down a rabbit hole. Ed was just sharing his perceptions. Let's hear what Darrell has to say. Darrell?
It's both remarkable and scary at the same time, Phil and Ed. Growing up, showing my age, I'm 41, and never in my life have I ever used this type of tool in a meeting environment or a virtual environment, and now we could do that. And not only we could do that, it has a voice, an actual voice, a realistic voice that may be concerning, because to the bad apples out there, it could substitute the actual person. So if we were to be in a meeting and I'm somewhere else, I'm able to clone myself and use that voice and pretend that I'm in that same session with you. So there's a lot of, ethics, safety. You break into the values, the entire human being consciousness comes into play when it comes to why I say it's very remarkable and it's very scary at the same time.
That's really good, Darrell. Yeah, I like that.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Not understand what you said.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't understand. I think your work is done, Bert. Thank you for interacting with us today. We'll take it from here.
You're welcome. It was great chatting with you all. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Bye for now. All right. So, for people who say, oh, I wanted to demonstrate how easy it is to get AI input, but I like what Darrell said because it could be intriguing and at the same time scary. Now, imagine if we replace that voice with one of us. Tell me who wouldn't believe that that is one of us speaking. So there has to be some sort of regulation. It is important we don't get so exuberant that we make this forces for you have to use it, or don't use it. I believe each person is going to work out their own AI perceptions. The same way some people don't have smartphones. I don't begrudge them. The same way some people have Tim Cook's devices and others complain about them. Oh dear.
Phil, I want to go over a topic dealing with business. So comparing the AIs between Alexa and Siri, hands down, ChatGPT, Claude, Google, and all the large language models outsmart Alexa and Siri. So bringing that perspective into the business environment, it really questions the seniority of employees having to be there in that specific company for 10, 20 years when you have innovation, being adopted, just like what we see here. You have Alexa and Siri being in our lives for so many years, and it's not as smart as ChatGPT. And ChatGPT's only been around for a couple of years. So in my opinion, I'm not speaking to everybody out there who are own businesses or, in that business perspective, but it questions and challenges the status quo on how long that employee's been there and how long has that employee been static for a very long time.
Wow.
What are your thoughts about that?
That is a very sobering perspective. Wow. I know where this could actually lead, Darrell. I'm gonna get off the bus before I get stopped by an officer somewhere. This could open a wormhole.
Because we've all been there in meetings when you're sitting next to a veteran who's been there for 20 years, and you come up with an idea, and the person in charge says, "Wow, Joe, you've been here for so many years. Why haven't you thought about that?" So stuff to think about.
Yeah. Ed, final thoughts?
No, I mean, yeah, that's that's a deep topic and I just want to just say a couple of things about that. And I think that's, first of all, that's why it's important to continuously grow throughout your career, because you could be someone that you may love the organization and the people that you work with, so that is the reason why you stayed. Or the other aspect of is that you've told yourself that nobody else is going to want your talent or skill set, so you've just kind of been able to slide by. So I say all that to say, well, here's my closing remarks: is that you have to be somebody that is going to go after continuous learning, go after learning how to not just learn this stuff, because we all can be guilty of that, of being in learning loops and not applying it. So you need to get out here and apply what you've learned immediately and test and experiment. I run so many experiments that I sometimes shock myself, but I run them because I want to know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Great stuff, gentlemen. This has been another thought-provoking, entertaining discussion, which will tickle many's fancies, make people laugh, and make people go, or make people go, Those who want their minds illuminated might sound different, but it makes us think. AI should not become a religion. We shouldn't shame people who, in their mind, want to use AI in a particular way. It's not harming people. I think we need to leave those people alone. People who are not using it, we shouldn't begrudge them and make them feel like they have to, because people are on a journey. People are on their journey, and everyone has their own journey. And some get there, some don't, some never get there, and it's okay. Some get there faster than others, and it's okay. But I think as a business owner, I think Darrell has opened up a pretty interesting final question. You as the business owner, what are you going to do? Are you going to listen to the new employee, entertain them, and use their understanding and knowledge and insights? Or are you going to stay with Alexa? And with that, thank you for joining us. Have you ever been for agile training and you came out and you're like, oh my goodness, what did I learn? And then you can take away some definitions, but when someone gives you the box, put it all together. Has that ever happened to you, Darrell and Ed?
Oh,
All the time,
absolutely.
Phil.
Tell me about your struggles in the world of agile that you might have encountered after being, because I know you guys are certified, you got certifications. So tell me some of the pain points from agile training that you might recall.
I think for me, Phil, the pain points is me getting in my own way of I'm such a predictive guy as far as methodology, and that's what's comfortable because when you spent more than a decade doing that, you really like, okay, the agile thing is really cool, that mindset. However, what I learned, and I would go, I got certified and things of that nature, but what I realize is that you need to continue to stick with it. Yeah, we do it at work from time to time, but there's a difference when you are exposed to it and it's done right. Because I know a lot of people out here are teaching the mindset of agile, and that was the funny thing. I always thought agile was a framework when or a methodology. When coming through you, I was learning, no, this is a mindset. So that's my thoughts.
Hmm. Thank you, Ed. Darrell?
For me, Phil and Ed, it's more of a misinterpretation of agile and waterfall. And the mindset is there, but it's also in the waterfall perspective. So what I've concluded as far as being in project controls, it's more like a hybrid, like saying Wagile. However, there's a lot of confusion between separating a Scrum and a project scheduler. So those were other pain points, and the main pain point that I been tackling is: does Agile work in EVM projects?
Beautiful questions. Those are things we are going to answer. We're going to not only answer them, Darrell and Ed, but we are going to reenact the world of Agile in a simulation. We're going to be joined by our friend Roy Schilling, who is an Agile coach to us at the Project Leadership Institute. And we're going to build out an Agile endeavor from beginning to end. We're going to experience the creation of a product roadmap, the creation of a product backlog, the sensibilities involved when you do release planning, the understanding of what we call story mapping, the understanding of sprint planning, the understanding of the daily scrum, the understanding of the retrospective and the review, the understanding of why do we even have this thing called backlog refinement and why isn't it on the map anyway in the scrum guide. We're going through how to use a Kanban board to represent your work. We're going through the entire 9 yards of Agile. And that's why I encourage anyone who has not been for an Agile simulation program, and honestly, there's not a whole lot of them, I would encourage them to come along for the ride because we are also going to be giving away with the seminar, the book. It's called Agile Principle Run and Cut. So everyone who is in attendance, if they don't already have an e-copy, they will receive an e-copy. This is a book written by my buddy Roy and I to help people for their ACP exam. It's at that level. This is one of our ACP books. And at the same time, it's also very helpful for Agile in the PMP. So if you are looking to know more about the world of Agile and you don't know whether, oh, like Ed was saying, is it a methodology? Is it a framework? Is the mindset? Why is it called that? And everything else, as well as questions on, well, I don't do Scrum, I do unsafe practices. I'm not going to mention the name of the actual thing, but some of you know what I just did. I don't do Scrum, I do unsafe. We're going to talk about that as well. I want you to go to safedelusion.com if you're deluded about unsafe practices. Safedelusion.com will help you. But that's beside the point. For the 13th of July, go on down right now to 360.pmradio.org. You absolutely need to be there. Because if you're not there, you will become a four-sided shape known as square. Be there or be square. You gotta be there. Oh my goodness. So let me write down. This is very serious. I know I say it in jest, but I really want you to be there because my buddy Roy is going to unleash excellence in this world of agile. You need to go on down to 360.pmradio.org. Let's make this big. 360.pmradio.org. So for those who don't know, we have a podcast called PM Radio. So this is 360.pmradio.org. Whether you're getting ready for your ACP exam or your CAPM exam or your PMP exam, and you've never really seen an agile endeavor go from beginning to end. You've never really seen the tools, the burn ups, the burn downs, all that. You've never really seen it come alive. You don't understand what it means to be in a daily scrum and the rules, or walking the board and why that is preferred by some, or you've never really been in a sprint review and you can't understand what happens there, or okay, who's in charge, who coordinates it, who runs it, or maybe you've never been in a story map and you're like, what's that? Or maybe you've never been in a story writing workshop. You can't figure out for the life of you how you would coordinate such. Hey, if that is you and you are a PMP, you're a CAPM, or you're a CSM, or you're an ACP. Some of you have a lot of agile certifications. But when it comes to doing this pragmatically in the real world, you don't know how to pull it off. We're going to show you. You're going to be part of it. You're going to have a role and responsibility. We're going to break out into different teams. Think about like a scrum of scrums. We're going to have PSIs we all develop, and it's all going to come together to show you how teams can work in a scrum of scrums environment. All the things that you've always wondered about, you're going to see them unfold. So don't miss a beat. Go on down to 360.pmradio.org. Darrell, do you have anything final to say before we jump off? Ed, anything final?
Yeah, Phil, I know you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say, and and just because of the humble guy that you are, but I'm going to say it. I want to do something different here. And what I mean by do something different, Phil, I want them to reach out to you, however that means is whether it's, one of your social media posts or things of that nature. I want one person I'm going to sponsor for this actual course. That's how important I truly believe this is as a simulation. Hopefully that you guys understand how important this is. So they always say if you really believe in something, you put your money where your mouth is. Where I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I want to sponsor one person that Phil selects that will get access to this. This is going to be amazing. I'm super excited because of the simulation piece. There's a difference between theory and then actually having to do it. And we're actually going to get a combination of both. So you can't beat that. Back to you, Phil.
Wow, that is so generous of you, Ed. And I want people to do this. We're going to post this on the Conscious Agility channel. I want you to put a comment below this video on Ed's channel. You're going to find this video on Ed's channel, put a comment, and that's how Ed is going to know that you are the person he should sponsor for this program. But you got to put a link, you got to put a comment below this video on Ed's channel. If you see it on Praizion, don't do it because he ain't going to see it. Do it on his channel and he's going to sponsor you. And that is just so absolutely fantastic because who does that? So thank you very much. Let me allow those of you who already know you're too late, because some of you are going to be watching this later on and you're going to know that, okay, that opportunity is passed. We want you to go over here and we want you to sign up. And it's a very generous offering right now. This is how it's going to run. We're going to have the foundations, show you how to roadmap and how to break down work, the whole epics, feature stories, tasks, and stuff. We're going to do that. And then we're going to begin going down through the roles, through the artifacts, through the different frameworks that could be used. And then we're going to have our simulation from inception, going through the Scrum, sprint planning, everything that we do in this environment. But again, take action now. Going down to 360.pmradio.org, and you'll be able to take advantage of this splendid opportunity. Okay? Any final words that I forgot? Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you. Remember, my buddies here have got channels as well. So go to @EDWAR Junior, right? Coke Junior. So there's no D at the end of the Edward, right, Ed? In your YouTube.
No, it's Edward Koch Jr. Yeah, Edward Koch Jr., the whole thing.
Oh, all one word. Gotcha.
One word. Mm-hmm.
And Darrell, your channel is you got a couple, but there's the influence @InfluenceIPM, is it?
That's correct, Phil.
So why don't we put that on the screen so that people can know if they wanted to follow these awesome individuals, how they would? Because, you know, we have friends on LinkedIn who may want to join your channels and don't know. So for Ed, it is @EDWARD, but all it's lowercase, right? Let's do it lowercase. Okay, so that's one. And for Darrell's channel, where he has a lot of PM control stuff, it's Influence IPM. They have content there that will very much capture your interest from the world of leadership and project management, and also AI. All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and I look forward to seeing everyone. Do some signing up. Don't forget Ed's offer, and we'll see you in the training on the 13th of July. Let's move on to our final process, close project or phase. Close project or phase is the final process in the project integration management knowledge area, but it is also, when you take a look at the PMBOK guide as a whole, it's that last thing you do to close everything else out. Now, I know stakeholder management is the last knowledge area, but the last process is close project or phase. Especially if you're looking down by process group, the last thing you do in closing is closing out either the phase or the project. So you're closing out either a phase or a project, and a big one, you're collecting lessons learned. What are some of the things that happen as you're closing out the project or phase? First of all, you want to ensure stakeholder satisfaction. You want to transition the deliverable to the customer. You want to carry out your lessons learned. And of course, we're talking about the overall lessons learned. This is where you're compiling all of those lessons learned that you've been collecting already throughout the project. This is where you want to make sure sellers are paid. You also want to make sure you're releasing resources, and you are archiving any relevant documents into the organization's repository, OPAs, organizational process assets, or the corporate knowledge base. Okay? Let's take a look at our inputs, tools and techniques and outputs from this process. The main goal is transitioning the deliverable to the customer and carrying out a final lessons learned for a phase or the project as a whole. The input to this process, the project charter, we've talked about this previously. Remember, it has exit criteria. The project management plan, which guides us on how to close the project. We have project documents as relevant, and there's so many of them, I'm not even going to go into that now. Accepted deliverables. These are deliverables that have been accepted by the customer. Well, we need to transition these deliverables to the customer's team, operations team, who are going to be working with the deliverable that we've got from the project or the service. We also have business documents, and when we talk about business documents, all manner of business documents, which could include the business case and the benefits management plan. These could be included here. You know, the PMI is fond of the clause could include but are not limited to. business case and benefits management plan. We also have agreements. Anything that was in an agreement, in a contract, we need to make sure it's done and it's fulfilled. The next input is procurement documentation and organizational process assets. A lot of stuff. Let's take a look at the tools and techniques. Expert judgment needs no introduction. As we're closing out the project, any expertise needed to close out the project comes in here. Data analysis is a big one here too. So document analysis, analyzing various project documents to make sure that indeed we can close out the project. Regression analysis, make sure that we are truly on track and we've stayed on track, or have we regressed in any way. Trend analysis, looking for trends towards project closure. It helps us learn lessons, of course. And variance analysis, what did we plan, what did we get, okay? And the last tool and technique is meetings. Let's take a look at our outputs here. The first output, project documents updates. Now it looks a little bit innocent and familiar, but bear in mind that there is a very important document, the lessons learned register, which could be updated as a result of this process. It's a very important one to look out for. The lessons learned register could be used on associated projects to understand what went well, what didn't go so well on this particular project, and make sure that we avoid any errors and we capitalize on things that we've done well and we make them repeatable and so on. The next output is final product, service, or result transition, and this refers to the final transition of the deliverable to the customer. The next output is final report. Many projects require a final report regarding various items, and this is where you would put that together. This should have already been discussed way in advance of the project. Last but not least, organizational process assets updates. This refers to all of those documents that are going to the organization's repository, going to either update the processes and procedures or update the corporate knowledge base. And that, folks, is really the end of this process, close project or phase. But it's big because on the exam, remember, you're going to get quite a few questions. And we only have one process in this entire area of closing out the project. So I would advise that you spend some good time going through the inputs and especially the outputs of this process. The lessons learned register, final product, service, or result transition, final report, lessons learned as a whole. Understand all that stuff and you'll be smiling all the way to the score bank to get your huge scores on the PMP or CAPM exam. Okay? So that's that for our final process. And in the next few videos, we'll wrap up and I'll give you guidance on what to do next.